Let's cross over to Adam Hancock now, who's been following developments from Singapore for us. Hi there, Adam. Tell us more about how China is coping with this first big wave of COVID since these restrictions were lifted. Are hospitals managing?
Well, it certainly does appear that the medical system in China is starting to feel the strain of this many infections spreading across the country. State media has reported that hospitals are trying to boost their ICU capacity, also trying to get more medical staff trained up and getting more medical supplies as well. And that has been a big issue in China since the COVID restrictions were loosened. We saw this huge rush on pharmacies, people trying to get hold of medication for fevers and for colds, and supplies are really starting to run out. So getting more supplies in for people and getting more treatment in for people who have got COVID is definitely a priority for the country at the moment. And also fever clinics as well. These are effectively clinics that are bolted onto the side of a medical facility. It keeps COVID patients away from the main hospital, and you can install a load of beds and treat a lot of patients. In terms of deaths, well, 5 more deaths were reported today. That's on top of 2 yesterday. Numbers very low compared to other countries that have come out of a zero COVID and had a huge wave. And that's led to a lot of experts being very skeptical about the numbers that are coming out of China. This is partly due to how China is reporting COVID deaths. Compared to most other countries, they only report a COVID death when COVID is directly the cause of death. But there's also concerns that of underreporting based on what's happening on the ground. The Reuters news agency has seen crematoriums and funeral homes in Beijing particularly busy. Apparently demand is higher than ever. And there's reports on social media, on Chinese social media platforms, of people saying that a number of people they know have died from the virus and questioning the official figures. And China is predicting 3 waves, remember, over winter. They estimate that they are at the start of the first wave, and then they'll see another 2 between now and mid-March. So it does seem like there's going to be plenty more challenges to come.
And Adam, these waves of COVID infections are clearly of concern within China itself. But what about the rest of the world? How might they impact, I guess, neighbouring countries, but also a broader world at large?
Yeah, well, the US State Department has called this a concern for the world, and they're referring to the fact that the virus is spreading amongst so many people. Of course, a population in China of 1.4 billion, and an estimated 60% are going to catch COVID, many of them for the first time. And that's going to give the virus plenty of opportunities to mutate. And the fear is that it will mutate into something that is more dangerous, more severe, and could evade current vaccines and treatments. And so the US State Department are flagging this and saying that it running wild across the country is a real cause for concern. Also, as well, economically, of course, China is one of the world's biggest economies. If China's economy is struggling because of COVID outbreaks, because manufacturing is slowing down, delivery drivers aren't able to go out and about, people aren't able to work, then that is also going to cause trouble for the rest of the world in terms of their economies and supply chains and shipping and all of that. So there were a lot of concerns about that whilst China was pursuing zero COVID. Obviously, lockdowns were causing problems at ports and in different manufacturing hubs. But the concern is now, with so many people going to be off work sick, many people staying at home and isolating, unable to get out and about, that's also going to hit China's GDP as well. Now, there have been offers to help. The US said they're prepared to help China in any ways that they will accept. But so far, China has been very reluctant to accept any help, particularly when it comes to vaccines. They're going it alone. They're using vaccines that were made in China, deciding against using vaccines that have been used elsewhere, such as Moderna or Pfizer. So as it stands, China is not accepting any help, but the rest of the world is watching to see how this plays out over the next few weeks.
OK, Adam Hancock, thank you so much for updating us there from Singapore.